And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Bucs here on RBLR Sports. Tom here, and very excited to have y'all join us for another episode. We are just a little over a month till we see our guys on the field. But coming on to the RBLR Bucs field, I got two of my awesome co-hosts tonight, rocking a one-of-a-kind creamsicle orange convertible. Santiago, what's up, man?
What's up, Musab? What's going on? The orange convertible, yeah, dropping it, and then I'm put it up, because we're in rainy season right now. But I'm super excited right now to talk about Bucs football. Getting closer. Can't wait. Super excited. This is like one of my favorite days of the week to, be speaking football. Two great co-hosts for reals. Let's go,
Appreciate
Bucs.
that, Santiago, and love the big time. Well, in the red Escalade as he wished a few weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Carter in the building. How we doing, Carter?
Well, shoot, in an Escalade, I'm living extra lavish.
What was the last vehicle I had you that you weren't too happy about?
Oh,
you remember?
I don't even remember, to be quite honest.
It was a Wrangler or something. It's all
it
good.
was, yeah, because I'm not really a Jeep Wrangler kind of guy myself. That's just me. But yeah, man, doing well. Really looking forward to talking Bucs with y'all. Like Santiago said, one of my favorite days of the week. So get cracking.
Hell yeah. I love it. And a little quick shout out to Carter Brantley. In case you didn't know, he's a freelance writer for Creative Loafing. So by all means, do check it out for sure. And a quick shout out to this podcast because, look, if you've been loving us so far, give us a like or subscribe to us. All right. And hey, even hit us with a follow on social media platforms at RBLR Sports. All right. So we're wrapping up the off season. All right. It's like just a little bit over. And I figured, why don't we reflect on what's happened, not just for us Bucs, but around the league, okay? Because a lot's been going on, and such offseason moves definitely have an impact on us and every other team, guys. So let's just kind of, focus, on the division rivals, of course, see what's going on with our rivals. Big thing I want to kind of go over is let's start off with the Atlanta Falcons. All right, so they're trading for Matt Ryan. They got Marcus Mariota now. So I just want to see where y'all's heads with that. Just because, overall feelings for me was it wasn't like there was any kind of anything special really out of it. In fact, I feel like Mariota is a little injury prone. That was like the first thing. I was like, ooh, okay, this is rather interesting just because I was like, I felt like they were going for the upgrade, but then again, it didn't really turn out that way. But I don't know. Maybe y'all think different. Carter, where's your head at with this?
I mean, you're going from Matt Ryan to Marcus Mariota. All due respect to Marcus Mariota, he's not Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan wasn't exactly, God to begin with, but Mariota is, well, like you said, he's a little injury prone. He's been not a career backup, but ever since he left Tennessee, he's been a career backup. He hasn't really worked out in that number 2 pick slot that Tennessee gave him. And yeah, I mean, it's clear that Atlanta's in a rebuilding phase. They've fully moved on from that 28-3 fiasco, at least team-wise. I don't know if mentally they've actually ever moved on or if they ever will, but, at least as a team, they're moving on personnel-wise. But how are y'all feeling about it? Maybe I'm a little cynical on Marcus Mariota. How about y'all?
Santiago, how do you feel about this, man?
Well, I mean, honestly, to me, it's a down. It's you're going down. Like Matt Ryan was in Atlanta. He would always give us headaches. Before Tom Brady came and woke us up for and made us a Super Bowl contender team, and we won our second Super Bowl. But when we were in our Jameis Winston, even before that, Matt Ryan, spent almost his whole career, from in the Falcons from 2008, till last year. So, he went to the Super Bowl a few times, and he's won most valuable player in 2016, and then he has so many different accolades. Definitely, if he would have won the Super Bowl against the Patriots back then, then he's definitely would have been considered, and he is going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, but for things that he's done, and he's going to be in the Ring of Honor for the Falcons as well. But Marcus Mariota, yeah, he hasn't really shown much. I remember he was a big hype when he left the University of Hawaii, and he got drafted. But it's really he's just a regular quarterback in my eyes. It's not really, Yeah, I know the name, of course, Marcus Mariota, of course. I'm just saying, like, he's not. I don't think he's going to do much of anything in Tennessee. I'm sorry, in Atlanta. I do apologize. I'm sorry, because he was in Tennessee for a long time. So, it's just, and if he can stay healthy, we'll see. But you're right, he's injury prone. So, he's just a backup. So, it's up in the
Yeah, I
air.
mean, his durability has been an issue the way I see it, and it's not like the offensive line is going to be helping him. Um, and then just overall the whole roster, it's like I don't know how good he can really look out there as well. The way I see it, I guess kind of worked out well for the Colts because he got an experienced quarterback, and now he's got some weapons. I think Matt Ryan can do a lot more now, so I think he has a little bit more consistency now with having a good lineup of all guys beside him. So that's the way I feel. I was like, all right, I'm like, okay, great, happy for Matt, but all right, Mariota, I don't think it's really going to be a big issue at all. I'm curious to see how this really turns out. I wouldn't be surprised even if like Felipe Franks gets some touches in there as well. So I don't know. I guess I'm also being a little tough on them, but it wasn't anything super super special to me. But it is something just to think about, just because they are a division rival. And then passing on to our other rival, the New Orleans Saints. They re-signed Jameis Winston, guys. Former Buccaneer. Um, guys, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. The way I just saw it was like, listen, he threw a lot of touchdowns, but the picks just, oh my god, it was just too annoying for me. So I don't know. Maybe the Saints feel a different way. He's, I guess, changed a little bit as well. I don't know. It's not like he did completely horrible or he's done completely horrible with the Saints, but Carter, how concerning is this for you? What kind of impact does this have? Just because he's back, running it back again. Definitely has a more starter role now for sure. Some changes, I feel like a little bit more for the better, but then again, I don't know the whole Saints, how much can they succeed overall?
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting question. The Saints are definitely an interesting case study. They're, they've kind of been in this weird, are they contenders? Are they not contenders for a very long time? They've always been a good team, but they've never really stood out as a Super Bowl contender just because their playoff performances, as we have seen, have left many things to be desired. And re-signing Jameis was kind of just more of the same. I feel like he got a decent, he got his feet wet last year before his injury. He looked okay, not game changing, but it looked like he was at least trying to move on from the 30 interception season that he had here in Tampa. They also signed Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry, and they kept, they lost Teron Armstead, which was tough, but they also drafted a few guys. The wide receiver out of Ohio State, Chris Olave. So, and they're also getting Michael Thomas back. Michael Thomas was hurt all last season, basically. So I don't know. The Saints are an interesting team to watch. The re-signing of Jameis is, it's an interesting move. Not entirely unexpected, but we'll see how it goes. How about you, Santiago? How are you feeling about Jameis going back to the Saints?
Well, he's a veteran quarterback. He knows how to be a starter in this league. So, you know, um, you know, uh, if he doesn't throw interceptions, he can he can win games, right? But at the end of the day, like throughout the whole, season, like It's just he was so inconsistent even when he was here. He would try and run the ball. He would try to be mobile, trying to run out of bounds, trying to make a play. In the last second he decides to throw it and then fumble or interception, and it was just yeah, like Musa was just saying, it was just very frustrating. So I'm guessing just because he's had so much time in this league, playing in the NFL. That's the reason why he's probably being re-signed by the Saints, because there was really nothing in the draft for them to even go with. So, but I mean, maybe they could have gone with Mariota, possibly. I don't know, but if Mariota would have decided instead of maybe the Saints would have decided, hey, maybe we'll sign Mariota and let Jameis go, but where would Jameis go? Like the Falcons then, it'd be like a swap. So I really don't know, I mean, we're still going to be dominating them. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much of a difference even Mariota on the Saints would do, simply just because both of them are not elite quarterbacks. I think it's easy to forget that, we are thankful and we are blessed to have a very elite quarterback, Tom Brady, and a few others do have some amazing quarterbacks. Okay, so I just think that not every team is going to have one. The Saints definitely don't have one now, especially after Breeze. Nothing against Winston, but yeah, he hasn't been anything impressive at all. So for that reason, I think he can do a solid job. But the goal is, of course, to get in the playoffs, win the Super Bowl, of course. And I definitely don't see that happening at all from a team like them as of right now. So, and even losses, like as you were mentioning, Carter right now, Teron Armstead gone now. It took a while for him to warm up, first of all, with the Saints. It's not like he's been super, super consistent. There's a lot of chemistry that still needs to be developed. You can have a guy like Thomas who's been out, Winston banged up. So, and just all other kind of changes. You got a bunch of new guys as well. So there's a lot of work needed to be done. I think they can have a solid season, if anything. But then again, not really a big threat in my mind. But I don't know. Y'all feel different at all? Do you think there's any chance that they could give us a good matchup, or nah? You think when we face them, we kind of have it in the bag?
No, I honestly don't think so. I think we'll still dominate them. I remember when Jameis was in Florida State, and he back in 2013, he was took Florida State to the national title, and I remember back then, Florida State was like a recognized powerhouse in college football, and I remember when he went into the draft, and it was like, oh, when he came to us, I'm like, okay, this is a good move. He's a BCS national champion. He can. And then his first thing when he was like drafted by us, it was like, oh, in the first round, it was like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna take the Bucs to the Super Bowl, and I'm like, I was like, okay, because I mean, he went with Florida State to the national title, so I'm like, he's trying to move up. So, but I mean, then it was just he was so inconsistent that it was just frustrating. I'm like, I'm glad he was out of Tampa. He's out of Tampa. I really am. Those 30 for 30, it was just really, really tough to watch. So I don't think
Yeah.
anything's gonna change.
Oh yeah. And speaking of glad, I'm also glad to find out. Well, it wasn't anything that was super exciting either, but I was like, okay, well, this is interesting, and that is the Panthers trading for Baker Mayfield. Um, this was just like, okay, so I don't know. I mean, I haven't had anything. I don't have any kind of like big, remarks. I've never had any big remarks for Baker Mayfield, and for that reason, now he's joining the Panthers, who aren't anything special, and battling against Sam Darnold, which is going to be a rather interesting dogfight, of course, for sure. Um, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I have to say is, I hope this kind of works out for him. I want to kind of be a little bit of a nice guy, if anything, just because I don't think the Panthers overall are going to be a threat for us. But he's got a lot of work to do. Offensive line is going to definitely have to. I don't know what they're going to have to do, but I'll tell you this. This news that came out to me, I was like, okay, this is interesting for sure. Poor Browns, but all right. I mean, again, we're coming in hot, so I don't want to just keep on rambling past every single one of these rivals, but I think something can work out. Something can work out, but it's not going to have some huge impact or anything. Um, Now to the rest of the division, this could be interesting. Of course, this is where it gets interesting with all this news coming out, guys. I guess I'm maybe thinking more about us, and I'm trying to say, okay, well, maybe overall in the division, who's going to be number two now that I'm thinking about it. So Carter and Santiago, we'll start off with you, Carter. Do you think something like this, Panthers trading for Baker Mayfield, is gonna give them a chance to be like, okay, you know what? Uh, sure, the Bucs will have that number one spot, but I think we can get the second. Thoughts?
A short answer, no. I think the Saints have the number 2 spot locked up pretty well. But the good news for the Panthers is they are 2/3 of the way there to the holy trinity of ass quarterbacks out of that Baker Mayfield draft class. And they got Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. If they get Josh Rosen, they'll have all 3 quarterbacks that were chosen before Lamar Jackson for some ungodly reason. But I digress. That was it's a weird move, but it's a weird team. The Panthers are a strange team. They I don't really know the direction they're going in. They've traded away several picks for 2 very sorry quarterbacks, so it's just like, man, I don't really know where their heads are at. But to quote you, Musab, I don't know where their heads at. But yeah, it's a strange trade. It doesn't move the needle for me personally in my mind when thinking about the Panthers. Like you mentioned, their offensive line just atrocious. Yeah, just a weird deal. We'll see if it makes a difference. Baker Mayfield doesn't seem like the worst guy on the planet, so hope for the best for him. But all jokes aside, I don't really think this moves the needle very much. How about you, Santiago? How are you feeling about this Baker Mayfield deal?
No, I mean, like, the team that has always given us the worst headaches is the Saints. So, we've beaten the Carolina Panthers and even, our other rival, Atlanta Falcons, like pretty easily these last couple of seasons. So, it's just, I think we're going to be running all over them anyway. So, they can try and play like Baker Mayfield week 1 and 2, and then Sam Darnold week 3 and 4. And, it's still going to possibly maybe be more losses than wins because, the Saints have always been a better team, and then I agree with Carter. I believe that, yeah, they have number 2 locked up, maybe possibly could maybe go for a wild card while we'll be in first place going, for the top spot. So, but, the Saints are a better team overall.
Yeah, I would probably say I feel the same way. I am curious to see how this does work out, though. It should be a fun show, I guess. I just feel like we're kind of going to be those. I feel like it's like high school, and you're like that one varsity player who shows up to JV practice a little early, or you show up to varsity practice a little early, and they're JV still going on. And you're just watching the young Bucks out there, aka the Falcons, Saints, and Panthers, just fighting each other out, and you're just like, all right, well, I'm just chilling out here. So um, that's kind of the way I see it. Yeah, Saints probably got it. That's the way I see it, but. On from our division rivals, which I guess the vibe I'm getting are not anything too threatening, to our biggest threats, guys. All right. Well, 2 teams that were our biggest threats, and I'm curious to see how y'all feel about them now. Let's start off with the Packers trading for Devontae Adams. This was rather like, okay, just because Rodgers is back, and you're like, okay, well, something should work out. Maybe, you run it back or whatever. But no, he's headed on to the Raiders now. So, Carter, Santiago, how do we feel about this? And, just because this results in, I don't know, like Sammy Watkins, and you get these new draft picks as well. So curious to see how that kind of substitution works out. I don't think it's going to work out well, but Carter, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's no replacing Devontae Adams. I'm afraid that anyone who believes that they are going to replace Devontae Adams with anyone they signed or drafted is kind of kidding themselves. Yeah, it's a tough proposition because apparently he just wanted out. There wasn't any convincing him. He just said, "Hey, I'm trying to move on," and yeah, I mean, he's going to the Raiders, and the Raiders. Hey, the Raiders are a decent offensive team now. But they're continuing their trend in the first round, despite trading for the Raiders' first round pick. They still did not spend a first round pick on a skill player. It's just remarkable. Even after getting rid of arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, they still waited until the second round to draft a receiver. And no disrespect to Christian Watson, I hope he turns out to be a very good player. But yeah, from the perspective of the Bucs, this is a great news because Rodgers is now having to throw to, well, like you mentioned, Sammy Watkins and Christian Watson, just a bunch of no-name guys, as opposed to the Bucs having to deal with, like I said, the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Well, the thing is, I mean, he even has someone like Alan Lazard or whatever as well. Or I mean, I assume he's still there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the thing is, it doesn't matter who they get and all that. It's just that, yeah, obviously they're missing this hole now. / they didn't do anything. So again, that kind of another little check off the list, which is again, I'm curious to see that. I don't think anything is gonna really work out, but we'll see how it goes. We'll run it back or whatever this season with them. But Santiago, what are your overall thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, Devontae Adams is a five-time Super Bowl. It's a five-time Pro Bowler. So I mean, he's making you know big numbers in the NFL, and maybe he just wanted to go to the bright lights of Vegas. New stadium, the Strip right there. Go to the pool parties and stuff like that, and didn't want to be in cold Lambeau Field, Green Bay. I'm guessing, but I mean, yeah, I mean, you have a former Super Bowl champion, at Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback, an elite quarterback, of course, but so I mean, you know, maybe Aaron Rodgers can do something. I'm guessing. The Packers every year have always been, ruling their division, and they've always been in the playoffs consistently. So, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's not really going to move a knee. Sammy Watkins is not any, is not even compared to Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is way better, but we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. So, I mean, the Bucs are still going to be, even if we pay the Packers and stuff like that, we'll dominate them,
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, and I'm curious to see. I mean, I think there's a chance that while I do want to keep the Rams up there as well, I'm curious to see who our second really true threat this season / when it comes playoff time will be, especially in our conference. So, well, let's talk about the Rams. The next team I wanted to talk about, and our second of our top two biggest threats of this season, and they just signed Bobby Wagner, and it's kind of like for me, it was kind of like you cueing the little Darth Vader music, just because they got a whole squad out there now. All right, uh, kind of gives me like those like the early 2000 like Tampa Bay Bucks kind of vibe, with Rice, Sapp, Brooks, Lynch, Barber. Okay, and you got to do like Aaron Donald, and oh my gosh, having a vet like him as well it's going to be a big impact for sure. Okay, just because he's also familiar with the NFC West, so when it comes time for a team like them to deal with the Cardinals, Niners, and Seahawks, I don't know, maybe it could be a walk in the park. He's just he's a machine. He causes disruption, and surely he's not like the same as he was before, but he got racked up 170 tackles last season. So this guy still, he's still got it in him. But Carter, Santiago, just on top of being such a great team already. I mean, this is the Super Bowl champs we're talking about. They just added another key piece, an absolute stud to their roster now. How does this make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough because when you've got Donald and Ramsey on that defense, oh man, yeah, and then you got John Johnson, the great safety back there too. So now you're just throwing in an elite linebacker, an elite middle linebacker, which is something that they did not have at all last year. They didn't even really have an average middle linebacker. Their linebacking core was very much a weak spot of that defense, and they were still really darn good. So, yeah, the fact that they were able to add a guy like Wagner for a pretty low price, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Plus, they managed to convince Donald to come back, so it's kind of a win-win across the board. Yeah, it's definitely a tough proposition for the Bucs. The Rams are definitely their biggest threat. Obviously, as the reigning Super Bowl champs. Yeah, I mean Wagner's a veteran guy. He's a great presence on the field. Santiago, how are you feeling about the Bobby Wagner signing?
Yeah, man, he's an elite. He's an elite linebacker. He's an elite athlete. In the NFL, and he's a former Super Bowl champion. So, and he's going to the reigning Super Bowl champions. And he definitely put up big numbers for many years when he was in Seattle. And it's just the Rams are trying to look down here all the way from the hills of Hollywood. They're trying to, with their microscope, trying to look down here in Tampa Bay to see what we're doing down here in our pirate ship. Like Jack Sparrow trying to look like our matey. What are they doing over there? So it's they're trying to compete with us because we are their biggest threat. They know that they have to go through us to try and make it to the Super Bowl because we are definitely we're considered the two best teams in our in the NFC. So but yeah, man, it's there. That's correct. When you have Sam Darnold, I'm sorry. When you have definitely players like Aaron Donald and definitely top players like Bobby Wagner on a team like here are the Bucs, we would definitely love to add that, you know what I mean? But we have our players and stuff like that. But
A matchup like this just makes something. It just makes a move like this makes a future matchup so spicy. Just because again, as you just mentioned, right now Santiago, yeah, we're talking about an amazing team, the champions. We're trying to seek vengeance, of course, just because it was a very, very tough loss against them. This past season in the playoffs. So for that reason, it's like, all right, you know what? At least for me, I'm like, okay, well, obviously this wasn't, something very fun to read about, but it does make things a little bit more fiery just because now the Bucs, I'm sure, are thinking like, oh, dang, now we got to really turn on the turbo. We got to make a statement this season. And listen, guys, we've been talking about impact this whole time. And I just want to let you guys know, or maybe you already know, okay? And that is, look, I'm not some fashion icon. My wardrobe's never had an impact on society until I decided to head on over to shop.rblrsports.com and snag me a fresh and in fashion t-shirt. I also got me a tank top. Summer is here. It's time to flex them guns, hang out by the beach. I don't know. Do what you got to do. All right. But also, you know what? Support this podcast. And on top of that, make an impact. Pave your own way and shop with us at shop.rblrsports.com. And let me make somewhat of an impact on your wallet and bless you with a promo code, which is Cannons. All right, that is CANNONS for 10% off your order. All right. Well, gentlemen, let's just kind of transition on to, I guess we can call them the other guys, or the other things to think about during this off season. Something that was like, wow, okay, now this is spicy. That is the Seahawks trading for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson now is on the Broncos. It just automatically makes them pretty darn good now. Okay. So now Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, and they got some other future draft picks. They're headed on over to the Seahawks, and Broncos get Russell Wilson, which is clearly, I feel like, more than enough. And they got some other guys during this offseason, but this was definitely the big news. Oh man, this team's got all this young talent. I think like Russell Wilson's been waiting for this moment. Fresh start, a little tabula rasa action going on right now. So this is like, okay, wow. What kind of vibe does this give you? Just because, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess we're not going against them or whatever, but they could be real, real good, Carter and Santiago. I don't know. What do y'all think? Santiago, Carter?
Yeah, I mean the Broncos are definitely an interesting team to watch in the AFC, but yeah, I mean obviously from the perspective of the Bucs, they get to play Seattle this year in London, and yeah, the Seahawks went from hey, this could be a team, could maybe be a tough matchup. They could maybe make some noise with Russell Wilson there. When you have a quarterback like him, you're always going to be in the hunt. But yeah, they went from that to goodness gracious. I don't know if I'm going to want to watch that game. Wake up at 9:30 to watch that one. Might sleep in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, from the Broncos' perspective, obviously getting a generational talent like Russell Wilson's huge. From the Seahawks, yikes. So it's real exciting for the Bucs because they kind of get a coast game. With all due respect to the Seahawks, without Russell Wilson, they're not a great football team. So yeah, I mean, how about you, Santiago? You feel differently? You think Santiago, the Seahawks can still make noise?
Well, like the Broncos have always been, top, they're the Broncos have been Super Bowl champions previously, so they know how to win championships, and that big stadium and Mile High, with the altitude and everything like that, those fans are super passionate, and they're stoked that they have another Super Bowl winning quarterback, playing for their organization. They went John Elway, they went Peyton Manning. Now they're going with Russell Wilson. So, Russell Wilson can win games. So he was just having issues in Seattle recently, but like he is going to be, and the Broncos have always, they have been a team, that pretty much have always, been on top of their division. So they have been, pretty recently in the playoffs. And I mean, they won the Super Bowl 50. So it's with Peyton Manning. So I mean, Russell Wilson is a 9-time Pro Bowler, and he's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I can say.
Yeah, it does make things nicer for us when we go against the Seahawks. I'm definitely gonna be up early. I don't know about you, Carter. I'm gonna be up early and ready for that game just because I want to see him walk over them. Now, if I was a Seahawks fan, maybe I'd feel that way, Carter, and be like, maybe I'll just hit the snooze button like every 5 minutes or so for the next 3 hours. But on the other hand, Amari Cooper is no longer with the Cowboys. Another opponent we will be facing this upcoming season. Definitely another rather interesting / surprising kind of move. I feel bad for the Cowboys just because a lot of other things have been going on around this whole off season. It has been looking good for them. I mean, they still have some things with them, but then again, I don't know. But with this happening, Carter, how does this make you feel?
I mean, it's the Cowboys, or the Cowgirls, as some people like to call them. They're just, they're always on paper one of the better, more talented teams in the NFL, but they can never seem to put it all together. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a great concern if they kept Amari because he had been a little injury prone and he was taking up a lot of their salary cap. It definitely seemed like more of a salary dump move than anything else. But he was having some great seasons there for a little bit. He was a part of the 1,000-yard receiving club for a couple years. But now, the Cowboys are relying on CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. They got the tight end Dalton Schultz. So, they're still a tough team, but it's definitely a loss. We'll see how they go moving forward. How about you, Santiago? How are you feeling about this Amari Cooper trade?
Yeah, I mean, Cowboys, it's unbelievable how they're always called America's team. And the last time they won a Super Bowl was Super Bowl 30. That was a long time ago, you know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah, they're 5-time Super Bowl champions, but it's just they're always on, in the news on ESPN and stuff like that. Everybody's talking about them, how they're going to win the Super Bowl and stuff. And it's just like a turmoil over there in Arlington. With Amari Cooper, he's going to the Cleveland Browns for this coming season. So he's leaving Texas, the hot state of Texas, and he's going to Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. So he's going to the dog pound over there, super passionate fan base. And they're going to go, they're going to start doing that. Obviously, Baker Mayfield left, so I bet Amari would have been super happy if Mayfield would have stayed because the last couple seasons, Cleveland did okay. I mean, they played, and sometimes their games would be pretty exciting, because they would, they almost did, they did pretty well until they just fell flat, So I mean, he's a 4-time Pro Bowler, and and he did win a BCS championship back when he was in college and stuff. So BCS title. So I mean, he's not going to be a threat to us. So I mean, it's like, but he enjoy yourself in Cleveland, Amari Cooper. Enjoy yourself in Cleveland.
Yeah, I hope something works out for him as always. I mean, again, not gonna be a huge worry slash not like we're gonna be seeing him in the finals or anything like that, or yeah, in the Super Bowl. So, well, on to the next one, which is Carson Wentz now is with the Washington Commanders. Um, for me, this wasn't anything like big. I was like, okay, I guess they're looking for, I guess, like a bridge quarterback. I feel like even those like rivals we were talking about, like Mariota as well, these are just the ones that are like, okay, listen, I'm a quarterback, I'm solid or whatever, slash, I just need, good weapons around me and I can make something happen. So I guess it just comes down to the rest of the roster, to the wide receivers, tight end, even the running back as well, as to what they can do, slash even the offensive line, how much they want to protect them as well. But Carter, what are your overall thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely an interesting move. Yeah, I mean like you mentioned, the offensive line is still tough. I don't know. I mean, we'll definitely have to see how it plays out. They got a decent team. Um, I I don't know. It's always so tough to predict, especially in that division. It's yeah, it's kind of a crapshoot. It depends on what the other teams do because there's a lot of youth in that division. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a weird move, especially considering that I don't know if Washington's a quarterback away from being good. But we'll see. We'll see. How about y'all? How are y'all feeling about this?
Well, I mean, he did, in the beginning, he's a former Super Bowl champion with the Philadelphia Eagles, and he spent 4 seasons in Philadelphia, and then he went and spent 1 season, which was, with Indianapolis, and now he's going to Washington, and you know, they're called the Commanders now. For the longest time, we always knew them as the Redskins, and all of a sudden last year they were the Washington football team. So, but we'll see. I mean, when people look at quarterbacks and they have next to their on their resume that they are part of a Super Bowl winning team, a lot of times people have high hopes of like saying like, okay, we have a quarterback that was part of an organization that knew how to win the big one. So a lot of times people say that people think like, okay, maybe that can bring us some good luck, and we can definitely, he can sprinkle that onto our organization to see if we can definitely do something. And a lot of times it won't work. A lot of times, quarterbacks except Tom Brady, definitely, or Joe Montana and stuff like that, a lot of times they have, the organizations, they cannot put him with enough good enough good weapons around them, like wide receivers and stuff like that, to get him to that big dance again. But Carson Wentz, he's he's got Chase Young over there in Washington and stuff like that, and so we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens with him.
Yeah, I don't know. Not for me. I guess it wasn't. Yeah, not much of a big impact at all, if anything. And that's the kind of vibe I'm getting. But I have to say, definitely impact with this next one I want to bring up, and that is the Bills signing Von Miller and the Rams losing him. Okay, so now the Buffalo Bills got him. They've already been a real hot team, with Josh Allen leading the pack, of course. And well, unfortunately, though, yeah. The LA Rams lost him, though, but they made up for it a little bit with snagging Bobby Wagner, of course. But hey, this is a team for sure that's like definitely Super Bowl, like a Super Bowl contender. Of course, they made it very, very far last year in the playoffs. So it just makes me think. I mean, Carter Santiago, this is definitely interesting for sure. We also lost our friend OJ Howard to the Buffalo Bills. He's up there as well. Great guy. So they're making some pretty solid moves. This was definitely a big move, monster deal, and I'm sure Von Miller's trying to ball out as well, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting move, almost from the perspective more so of the Rams losing him as opposed to the Bills signing him. But also, obviously, the Bills, they got themselves a pretty darn good veteran pass rusher, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely a huge deal, a huge financial risk to be paying a guy at his age that much money, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, like I said, they're in Super Bowl contention mode. They are one of the better teams in the AFC, so they felt like they needed a guy, and they went and got him. No matter what the price, and you can't always fault, you can't ever fault that. So we'll see how it works out. But Santiago, how are you feeling about the Von Miller sign?
He's a two-time Super Bowl champion. Like Buffalo, they have been to the Super Bowl before, but every time they went, they lost. And two of those times were in the early '90s versus the Dallas Cowboys, and they were definitely, those were back with the Jim Kelly era. So Buffalo recently, they've had, they've been pretty after Tom Brady left New England, because they were this. Oh, it kind of when he was there recently, when even Tom Brady, when he was in New England for the last couple of seasons, Buffalo was on their heels. But after he left, in Buffalo, they've always been recently confident, that they're like, we're going to Super Bowl, and he's definitely an important piece right now to that organization. He signed a huge contract, massive contract. I mean, he left sunny Southern California to play in the cold weather of, Buffalo, New York, with the Bills Mafia up there. So we'll definitely see, what has to happen. He's definitely gonna make, in my opinion, the Buffalo Bills the top team in the AFC East. I'm gonna say that right now. They're gonna be, better than the New England Patriots. Even though Bill Belichick's over there, but can they be a Super Bowl team contender? Yeah, I mean they have OJ Howard. They're doing some important things over there. So I mean, but we can possibly see them in the Super Bowl.
Maybe so indeed. Definitely a big impact the way I see it. And then also another interesting one. Definitely opened my eyes to see this, which was Tyreek Hill is now headed to Miami. So yeah, the Chiefs are losing him, but they're getting some, they got some 2022 round 1, 2, 4 picks and some other in the 2023 draft. But yeah, just a bunch of picks for Tyreek Hill, huh? And he's headed down to Miami, working with the young buck Tua Tagovailoa. You got Waddle as well down there, and some other dudes. So Definitely going to be interesting just because I feel like it's definitely a big boost for sure. I mean, but it's just like, wow, on the other hand, because I'm thinking like on the Chiefs side, it's like, okay, now this was interesting for sure. More of, I guess, a futuristic kind of move, I guess. Don't think it's going to really pay off too well for them. Surely they did get a guy like Ronald Jones to join their team, who was ours last year. And wish him all the best, but I hope he doesn't go off on us. But then again, yeah, you're losing Tyreek Hill. Definitely a big loss for sure. Um, and definitely a big impact. The way I see it, I mean, a huge hole to fill. I want to see how this kind of works out. Um, Patty Mahomes can definitely make some magic happen. So it's not like OMG, he's completely screwed or whatever. But you're losing a key piece, and on the other hand, yeah, I think it's also going to work out well for him, or it should when he's down in Miami. But Carter, Santiago, where's y'all's heads at with this?
Yeah, I mean it's tough to lose one of the better receivers in the NFL. If Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the league, then Tyreek Hill isn't far behind him. Um, we saw Tyreek tear up the Bucs defense a couple years ago before they went to the Super Bowl in the regular season, and then he got kind of a little more locked up in the Super Bowl. But yeah, it's definitely I think from the Bucs perspective a big win, just because if they do face a team in the Super Bowl, I think if they make it all the way to the Super Bowl and they get to face a team, it's a lot easier to face the Chiefs without Tyreek Hill. It is definitely a lot easier to face them with just Travis Kelce. So yeah, I mean, from the Bucs perspective, it's a win. The Chiefs, it's a big loss. But the Dolphins, they're kind of pushing their chips in on the Tua era, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not really sold on it, but clearly they are. So we'll see how it goes. But Santiago, how are you feeling about this Tyreek Hill deal?
Yeah, man. Again, Super Bowl champ, another former Super Bowl champion, where he won the Super Bowl in the stadium he's going to be playing in right now, which is Hard Rock Stadium down in Miami Gardens over there in Miami. So yeah, he definitely gave us issues here when he came, here with the Chiefs. And did the backflip and then did the famous, like, they need help, bring help. And then, we just said, let's show him who we are, and then we beat him in the Super Bowl. So, but with him going to the Dolphins, I still, like I said before, I still believe that the Buffalo Bills are still are going to be the best team in that division. Possibly Miami, maybe on the heels of maybe the Patriots, but they're in my opinion, they're just a mediocre team. Sorry for anybody who's maybe listening to our podcast that's a Dolphins fan, but they are. A lot of times, they try to live and say that, oh, we're the only undefeated team in history, and that is true, but that was back in '72. So I mean, can he send them to the Super Bowl? I don't think he will, because, even Tua, he's not, in my opinion, he's a good quarterback, but he still has to prove a lot, to be considered an elite quarterback like he was in Alabama. But yeah, I don't think, he's going to do much at all. Put numbers, yes, but, to move the needle, to put him on top of the AFC East and, be on top of the Bills, I don't think so, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no. Okay, I see where your head's at, but I mean, at least for the Chiefs wise, when we go against them, you think this is gonna be a little bit of an issue that, oh, okay, well, missing Tyreek Hill now, huh? So that's what I see. But the last, kind of, team I wanted to go over, or the last move of these offseason I wanted to go over. I think this is more of an impact just on, their opponents. I am very curious to see how this works out for the Chargers. The Chargers now have Khalil Mack, an absolute beast. And on top of that, they got JC Jackson, who I was talking about last week, who's an absolute stud as well. So they just got these two guys. They got a young buck, Justin Herbert, who's been doing a pretty darn good job as well. I just want to know, do they pose a threat now? Do you think that, these kind of moves are really going to give them a nice boost, Carter?
I mean, definitely a boost. Definitely a boost. You don't add two players of this caliber and not see an uptick in production, especially because their offense is already really, really good. Like you mentioned, Justin Herbert's an elite quarterback almost already. They got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, who are both excellent, excellent wide receivers. They got Austin Eckler, who's a really great playmaking running back. So they've got a really talented team, and to add two great veteran players like that is only going to do good things for them. Khalil Mack's health concerns are definitely an issue. I'm not 100% sold that he can play all 17 games. He could barely play all 16 games. So it's tough at this stage of his career, but yeah, definitely a great pickup, and they'll definitely make the playoffs this year, I think, with the roster that they've got going, barring any major injuries. The Super Bowl contenders, not quite there yet, maybe in a year or two with Herbert, gaining a little more experience. But how about you, Santiago? You think they're Super Bowl contenders after these two pickups?
Yeah, Justin Herbert, he's proven to be a really good quarterback. So, J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, those are big acquisitions, for their organization. They share a $5 billion stadium with a rival that just won the Super Bowl last year. So they've never won the Super Bowl as an organization. They were there only one time. Back in '94 versus San Francisco 49ers when Steve Young and Jerry Rice won the Super Bowl. But, they haven't been there ever since. So, I mean, it's been, obviously everybody knows the Chargers from like Junior Seau's time and Seau playing in the Super Bowl. Like they want to see them back in the big dance, So could it be in maybe 1 or 2 years? Yeah, I mean, they can do that if they put the correct pieces around Justin Herbert. Yeah, why not? But if they play against the Bucs, we're going to win. So that's how I look at it.
Right on, right on. Well, I love to hear it, and I agree with y'all both. Interesting to see for sure. Well, that's all I kind of have to say overall with all these kind of off-season really impact moves. Is there anything you're kind of looking forward to with any of these? Is there one that you kind of specifically like, wow, this was interesting, and I want to see how this plays out? Carter, which one is that for you?
Man, that's a great question. Honestly, I'm really excited about the Tyreek Hill trade. I think the Dolphins could either be really, really good, or they could blow up in spectacular fashion. Because it's just, who knows with Tua. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that one. That's probably my number one most exciting thing. But as far as the biggest impact on the Bucs, I think the Devontae Adams trade was probably the biggest impact for the Bucs, just because it really takes the Packers down a few notches. But how about y'all? What are y'all most excited for out of these moves?
Santiago, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I would say, one that's going to be, they're going to be a tough team is going to be Von Miller, going to the Buffalo Bills, and, even with what they have over there right now, and what they've been doing the last couple of seasons, that's going to be, I don't know, I don't really want to say exciting. It's just going to be I would play anybody in the Super. I'm not afraid of any team in the Super, in the NFL, being a Bucs fan, because I know we'll win. But it's just that, any team in the AFC East, you better watch out, because with Von Miller and players like that, even the Buffalo Bills have been, they've been packing, they've been getting a lot of good players. They've been, and results have shown, So, other than that, obviously Tyreek Hill in Miami, we'll see what happens with that. Maybe they can be a surprise. And, I said just recently, just a little bit ago, that I still believe that the Buffalo Bills would be number one. But you just never know. Maybe Tyreek gives him that little push there. Maybe be number 2, maybe for a wild card. You know what I'm saying? But because you have the Jets as well, and the AFC is just a weak, in my opinion, just a weak division. So it's just those are the two. I agree with Tyreek on with Carter right there. What do you think, Musab?
Yeah, for me, the one I'm looking forward to at least kind of relates to the Bucs and the whole league, I guess. I mean, just because they lost people, but they also got people, which is just the quarterbacks in our divisions. Okay, we re-signed Jameis Winston, who I have negative feelings for. I'll just leave it at that, really. And then you got Mariota. Okay, great. Okay, congrats. Okay, let's see what happens with that. And then on top of that, we got Mr. One of the, I would say, top drama queens overall, or he gives me a drama queen kind of vibe, and that's Baker Mayfield now on the Panthers. And his little buddy on the side, or his little wingman, is Sam Darnold. So, okay, let's see how that works out. But, yeah, that's my kind of, what I'm interested in seeing is what kind of impact do these guys have, / what kind of impact this is going to have on our division. Is every one of these games going to be a walk in the park, or at least Panthers and Falcons, of course? Or is it going to be like, okay, well, they got some tricks up their sleeve, but still not better than us? I don't know. I guess we'll see how it unravels. Again, listeners, we have just a little bit over a month. And you best believe I can't end this episode without thanking all y'all. Seriously, we really do appreciate this. And if you enjoyed this, please do spread the word about us with your friends and family. And I'll give you a few seconds right now before you forget, and to show us some love to us. All right, hit that like and subscribe button, however you're listening to this. And for my social media enthusiasts, reminder, you can catch us on all platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at RBLR Sports. Well, I'm going to wrap it up for you right now, get you a little fired up / maybe you're going to say, Musab, I think you deserve the Nobel Prize for Literature or whatever. All right, you're a poet, Musab. I don't know. We'll find out. Well, here I go. The start of the season is near. Fire up the grill and get ready to cheer. Grab your favorite jersey, grab the beers, and prepare for a season without any fear. We are the Buccaneers, and we are ready for a great year. That's all for now, folks. Stay fired up, stay ready, stay cool. Thanks again, and as always, go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.